First thing I'm going to do is go to Illustrator. I'm going to go over here and go create new. I'm going to go to print, and I usually just pick letter and go create. This here is called an artboard, this white area. You can change the dimensions of your artboard by going over here to the artboard tool. You click on it, and then you can change the dimensions just like that. I'm going to make my decal fairly small, so I don't need anything as big as what would default it to. So there you go. That's how you change the dimensions, the artboard there. Click any tool, and then that's locked in. You zoom in like this. You can Alt, if you hold Alt down, it zooms out. So zoom in, Alt, zoom out. Control 0 or Command 0 if you're on the Mac brings that up into full screen. So this is a little bit of a review from yesterday. If I click and hold these tools, there's a tear off feature, so I'm going to tear this off. I'm going to tear a shape off. I'm going to tear the pen off. And today, I'm going to tear the type area off. So I'm going to make a quick decal here to bring into Photoshop. I'm going to start with an ellipse tool. Now, if you just start clicking and dragging the ellipse tool, you see it turns into an egg and it doesn't make a circle. If you want to make it circle, meaning that the proportions are, scaled proportionally, hold the Shift key down. So if I just by holding the Shift key down and dragging, I make a perfect circle. So there you go. That's a tip for you. Remember up here, you could change the color of your Illustrator thing. Most programs will have some sort of library, stack of books here that will give you access to swatches. So I'm going to throw a metals gradient on here. I'll throw that on there. I might give you a little bit of a pro tip here rather than just being reliant on the gradient. I will get into this in more lessons next week or project 2. But if you want to make modifications to the gradient, there's a gradient bar here. You click on that. You can click on these, double click on the color here, and you can actually change the color of the gradient. You can customize it. So if you double click on these, you can actually go to the swatch area there, and you can start customizing your gradient. If you don't like something, you can just click and hold and drag it off. If you click over top of this, you can click on it and you can add gradient points or just drag them off. And then you can move your gradient around. You can slide it around and do different things. Okay, so that's how you can customize your gradient right there. There's also over here in Illustrator, there's this gradient tool. If you click on it, it brings this little slider thing up, and you can move the gradient around, and you can rotate the gradient and make some adjustments that way. Okay, I'm going to back that up. That's, again, there will be more lessons on gradients, but that just gives you a quick rundown. You don't have to be stuck with the stock gradient they gave you. You can customize it. I'm going to throw a stroke on this. I might make the stroke maybe a bit more gray and then thicken the stroke up a little bit here. Maybe not that big. There you go. I'm liking that. Now remember, you click the star area, click and drag that. I'm holding the spacebar down and moving it. If I click the up arrow, that adds points to the star. The down arrow removes points until I get a triangle. I'm going to add some points to the star. I'm going to hold the spacebar down, move this into area while I'm clicking and dragging, holding the spacebar down. Hold the Shift key down and the spacebar, so a lot of coordination. Just kind of get that in place there. And I'm liking the fact that I'm going to put no fill on the star. So I'm not going to fill that in, but I'm going to keep a stroke on it. And maybe I'm going to make it, I want no fill. Go to the stroke, go to a lighter stroke there. See how that works. Okay, so I'm making a quick decal here. I'm going to zoom in because I find it much easier if I'm zoomed in. If I want to pull this star angle up a little bit further, I'm going to go to the white arrow tool, hover over, find the anchor point, and drag that up. If I hold the shift key down, it'll make sure it locks it in on the horizontal. And I can do that here. Drag that over. Just showing you I can make modifications if I want, just by dragging that. I'm just going to eyeball it. It's not going to be perfect. If I want to round this off, there's these little circles here that I can make and round these points off if I want to. If I was doing this on my own, I'd spend way longer rounding things off and getting super picky, but you get the idea. And then I'm going to want to put a letter in there. So I'm going to go to the type tool, click and drag the type. My last name is Waldeck, so I'm going to go W. Highlight that. I'm looking, oh yeah, here's the type information. Font information's over here. I was expecting it to be up here, so that, sorry, it's been moved over here. I can make that bigger. I can type something in. I'm going to type in 125. Of course, this happens when I'm doing this live. I'm going to try that again. I just undid that. So if you, okay, this goes to show you no matter how long you've used these programs, sometimes when you're rushing or doing things, things won't go as planned. So I just backed that up. I just went undo. So I went Command or Control Z and I undid that. So I'm going to make my text, rather than moving my text over here, I'm going to do it off to the side. It'll probably be a bit easier. Put my W right here and then make some whatever I need to do to the W right here. So I'm going to try that around, I'm going to go 95. There you go. And I think that's decent. And then if I want to change the color, I can click on the foreground color, change that to a color that I want. And then I can move that into place. Now, sometimes I'm going to right click on an object. There's this arrange area. If I send it back, you see it's behind there, right? So if that happens, you want to right click, arrange, and bring to front. So I'm going to move this back over here because I find it's easier if I work at the parts separately off. If you're having problems, sometimes working on the whole thing at once gives you some difficulty, like just happened to me. So I'm going to drag it off and work on it over here. I'm going to go back to my type tool, highlight it, and then pick a font style that I want. I'm not going to spend forever doing this. But yeah, that one looks cool. So I'm just going to go with that one. Drag that over into place here. All right, so that's going to be my decal. I showed you just quickly how to do a few things in Illustrator to make a decal. And you can explore more. I'm going to make my artboard a little bit smaller because I don't need it that big. Right around that there. And I'm done. So I can go File, and I'm going to go Save As. Now what this will do is it's going to save it as an Illustrator file. I'm going to say logo demo, right? It saved it as an Illustrator file. So I'm going to find my Photoshop tutorials. I'm going to save it right in there and go OK. What you want to do now, if you're totally done your design, because this, you can now open that in Illustrator and change it forever. But I want a JPEG or I want a PNG to bring inside of Photoshop. So I'm going to go File. And when you're handing things into me, I want you handing them in as JPEGs or PNGs. So you have to go in, if you're doing an Illustrator, you have to go File, Export. Then you go Export As. I've already selected PNG and JPEG. So you can do either or, but PNG will allow you to keep a transparent background. The biggest difference between a PNG and a JPEG is PNG will allow for transparent backgrounds. JPEG will not. It will save it as a white background. So I'm going to go PNG, use artboards. So you see the background. See how it's giving me the option of transparent? That's because it's PNG. So I'm going to want a transparent background, then I don't have to remove it. It makes it way easier for me when I'm placing my decal inside of Photoshop. So I'm going to go OK, and that has been exported. So I'm done with Illustrator now.